Mr. Riggs, are you seeing this? The entire horizon is turning purple.
Affirmative, Ashley. It is a large pollen cloud. My sensors picked it up days ago, but it was not classified as a point of interest.
How big is this cloud? Where is it coming from?
It spans a few hundred kilometers and has been traveling across the continent for at least a few weeks. Its origin is difficult to determine.
It must be coming from afar. None of the flora species that we've seen in this region could produce such amounts of pollen.
I do not think it could be a threat to our mission, but we can try to gather more data when the cloud reaches our base.
Weather conditions are changing. Wind speed is increasing.
Ashley, I'm detecting large, fast-moving objects within the pollen cloud. They should be flying over our base in a moment.
Well, that certainly didn't look like pollen. Are you tracking these objects?
Affirmative. They should hit the ground close to our base. I marked the estimated landing location on your map.
Okay, let's see what it is. Look at this strange vegetation. It clearly doesn't belong here.
This area must have been contaminated by one of those flying spores. It must be the source of this growth.
Yes, that sounds obvious. Let's see what we can learn from studying the macrospore in more detail.
We have to take a larger piece of this object and bring it to our alien laboratory to study it. A small sample will not be enough. My sensors are picking up a large infestation close to our position. Hostile creatures are amassing quickly in that area and are going to attack us soon. We should focus on eliminating that threat as soon as possible.
If we don't do something about it, then they'll eventually overwhelm our base. Let's act quickly.
Speed is returning back to typical values. Wind turbine efficiency returning to normal.
Like the last one of those nests. This should make them ease up a bit.
Good job, Ashley. We can return to our primary objectives now. I can transport the sample with the Megasuit's gravity modulator arm extension. Please bear in mind that if we rift jump while holding this object, it will not travel with us.
Okay, let's take a walk then.
This sample is safe within the force field, but it is going to deteriorate quite quickly if we drop it to the ground. Ashley, are you interested in this object out of pure scientific curiosity? Or are you seriously worried that it could pose a real threat?
Well, I guess both. I am still really excited about all of the magnificent wildlife that we're experiencing on Galatea every day. I came here as a scientist and as an explorer, and I still feel that way. Although I have to admit, this planet is much more dangerous than I expected. Okay, we delivered a huge chunk of the macrospore to the alien research lab. Let's see what it can tell us.
I have analyzed the pollen in the air and the macrospore sample. The first thing to note is that they were produced by two different species of fungi.
That's interesting. The fungi that produce those gigantic flying spores would have to be enormous. And the amount of biomass in that cloud is also quite astounding.
The next thing we have learned is that the large spores feed on the microscopic grains of the pollen cloud. They would not be able to fly very far without it.
An intriguing parasitic relationship. Can you tell me more about that large spore? How was it able to spread that growth around its landing site so quickly? Can it survive in this environment?
That flying object was a carrier vessel that contained multiple fungal spores surrounded by a thick layer of hypernutritious resin-like substance and shielded by strong chitin walls. The organisms around the landing site used up the nutrients from the carrier vessel to develop very quickly. However, I am not certain if they will be able to survive in this environment, nor if they should be classified as a threat.
I'm not convinced about that. The fact that they're not trying to tear us apart with claws or beaks doesn't make them harmless. The sheer size of that spore cloud could make it dangerous. What if it starts to change the local ecosystem? What if it serves as a growth catalyst for the acidic yeast colonies that we've encountered? We can't just ignore this. We have to find where this cloud is coming from and determine if it is dangerous.
Now that we have analyzed the cloud's content, we can input that data to the planetary scanner to search for areas that can contain large amounts of biomass with similar element composition spectrum.
Let's look at biomes that can support large fungal colonies, potentially warm and with lots of water.
Affirmative. Further scans indicate an area that matches this query. It is a vast river delta located in a subtropical zone. The vegetation in that biome is very dense and strongly distinct from what we have seen in other parts of the planet. Its location suggests that it could be the source of the spore cloud.
Okay, that sounds good, Mr. Riggs. Please mark the location on the planetary scanner, and let's go to that fungal swamp as soon as we can.
Jump successful. Air temperature 321 degrees Kelvin. Humidity at maximum. Visibility very low.
Wait, Mr. Riggs. Stop. Look over there. I've never seen anything like this. That tree is enormous. We have to go see it up close. It's breathtaking.
I concur, Ashley. It appears to be even larger than the cloud drifters on Cephalus.
Yes, it definitely looks bigger. Let's go. We have to see it up close. It's even more impressive when we're standing close to it, but I can't really make out the structure of this great tree. It's partially covered with the same growth that we've seen come out of that flying spore that reached our HQ. The trunk appears to be intertwined in thick, thorny vines. And I see hundreds of creatures crawling amongst its branches. It looks very old and dried out. Let's go around the base of the tree. I want to learn more about it. The trunk of the tree is densely entangled with some sort of aggressive thorn vine. It almost looks like it's trying to strangle this giant organism.
Warning! I am detecting a lot of movement coming down from the tree. Ashley, get ready to fight!
This side of the tree is densely covered with parasite nests. The entire trunk is crawling with them. It looks like they've overwhelmed this organism and they're draining all of its life. This side of the tree doesn't look so dried out. It has visible living tissue. I can even see some resin-like substance coming out from the crevices in the trunk.
Warning! Hostile creatures are swarming down on us from the tree. Ashley, prepare to fight!
Okay, Mr. Riggs. I think we should set up a research outpost at the base of this tree and learn more about the situation in this biome. I think this giant organism is the key to our riddle.
What riddle?
The pollen cloud and the gigantic flying spores trying to invade our headquarters? That's why we came here.
I am sorry, Ashley. I still have not classified those events as a threat to our mission. All of this looks like a natural part of this planet's ecosystem.
I hope you're right. Either way, I don't want to take that risk. Okay, we've got an outpost building up and running. Now we can move on to constructing the necessary research infrastructure around the tree and start gathering data about this organism.
It is going to be challenging to defend our base in the swamp. There is very little building space available, and we will not be able to rely on wind and solar energy. We should focus on more efficient energy sources, like flammable gas, nuclear, or fusion power.
We can use biocondensers to gather sludge from the mud pools all around us and convert that into flammable gas. Energy shouldn't be a problem. We just need to think different.
Extended pipelines will be difficult to defend.
That is true, but we can secure them with floating immolator towers. Plus, pipelines are cheap to rebuild. A new technology has been developed. New buildings are available for construction. New blueprints are available for crafting.
Research completed. A new technology has been developed. Research completed. A new technology has been developed. New buildings are available for construction. Warning! An aggressive horde is amassing near our base. Prepare to defend our base. Research completed.
A new technology has been developed. New buildings are available for construction. Monsoon winds are blowing from the sea. Heavy rain is expected.
Intense precipitation is going to prevent solar power generation, but we can take advantage of improved wind turbine efficiency.
hard weather is over.
Ashley, I'm detecting a lot of movement in the upper parts of the Great Tree. We should prepare to defend our base from the tree's direction.
Roger that, Mr. Riggs. Let's place some defensive towers within our base just in case.
Warning! Hostile creatures are coming down the tree! research lab in Sector C has finished gathering data. Danger! A large group of creatures is coming down from the tree. Base is under attack. Base is under attack.
Base is under attack.
Detecting any hostile creatures on the Great Tree anymore. Threat eliminated.
I hope so. It's hard to defend from the outside and from the inside of our base at the same time.
The research lab in Sector A has finished gathering data. The research lab in Sector B has finished gathering data. Ashley, all of the research stations have finished their quantum scans of the Great Tree structure. You can proceed with the analysis.
Interesting. This organism has a very complex, multi-layered structure that goes deep underground. The part that's visible above ground is primarily responsible for reproduction, which is very similar to Earth-based mushrooms.
So, what is the interesting part?
The fruit body, which we've dubbed the mushroom tree, is close to 100 meters tall. If the underground body of this fungus holds proportions similar to Earth-based fungus, this entire organism could span hundreds of kilometers. Who knows, maybe it's underlying all of the swamp.
That is a bold theory, but even if it is true, it still does not mean that this fungus is a threat to our mission on Galatea 37.
Wait, there's more. The pollen cloud that reached our base was emitted by this huge fungal species, but the larger spores that were spreading the infectious growth came from a different species. Our data shows that the invasive spores share DNA with the parasites that are crawling all over this tree.
That sounds like a typical parasitic relationship, which is quite common in nature.
Maybe, but not on this scale. These parasites have almost completely taken over this great mushroom tree. That huge spore cloud was just a manifestation of the problems to come. Imagine what could happen if a few hundred square kilometers big organisms started to multiply in an uncontrolled manner. I think that this ecosystem is on the verge of collapsing and that we should try to bring it back to balance.
I am still not convinced, Ashley, but you are the boss here. What would you like to do next?
First, we should stop these parasites from multiplying any further. I don't want to use brute force against them. That could damage the organism and wouldn't be very effective. Maybe we could try to find some natural repellent that could drive them away from this tree.
I have cross-checked this parasite species' chemical spectrum against planetary quantum scans of the fungal swamp. This species appears to be commonly present in smaller populations throughout the entire biome. However, there are a few areas that are free of it.
Good thinking, Mr. Riggs. We have to check what is so repulsive in these places.
I concur, Ashley. I have marked one of these areas on the planetary scanner interface. We can go there as soon as you're ready.